With 5 races in the books, the 1UP Superstar Series ventures out west to Phoenix Raceway for round number 6 of 30 in the 1UP Superstar Series calendar. Alongside me in the booth for today's race is Duke and Zach, and we've got some interesting stories to follow up on after last week at Kansas. Stephen Hunter's built up a lot of momentum. He's won the last 2 races. He's gone for 3 in a row, which no one has ever done. His odds are good, but who do you think is going to be his biggest challenger today? There's a lot of big names looking to take this glory from him.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of good drivers up there in front. Of course, there's Jared Polanski, who has been having a fantastic season, our points leader, Nick Ortiz. But today I've got my eyes on Miles Mashburn in the 72 car because he had a lot of momentum coming into the season. In the back half of the last season, he had a lot of really good finishes in that. And he hasn't been doing great in this season, but I think that today could be the day that he turns it around for that 72 car.
And after qualifying, we can give you the full starting lineup. Another driver to keep our eye on is that 10 car of Justin Hutchinson, who puts his car on pole position for the first time in 2021. Alongside him, rookie Nelson Reeves in the 17 car. And looking back through the rest of the field, you can see Joshua Michaels having another strong qualifying outing after his pole last week at Kansas. Jeffrey Finguy is there. Patrick Smith, another rookie in the top, rounds out the top 5. And Christian Russell making his series debut starts in 10th position. And a lot of big names are also starting out back. So it's going to be interesting to see who takes the win of this race, because considering what we saw in the Nitro National Series race yesterday, you really want to be starting up front to get the track position early so you can hold on to it as the race progresses.
You're absolutely right, because the track position is just going to determine how the rest of your race goes. You want to make this restart, or it's not a restart, it's the start of the race. You want to make the start of the race count. You want to go through the middle, go through any hole you can find to try to pass cars. And of course, you're going to have to execute on pit road today too. A couple of stops are planned for these drivers, so it's going to be exciting. I can't wait to see how it turns out.
So with that being said, the cars are all lined up on the grid, and we're ready to bring you the action live from Phoenix Raceway. This is the 1UP Superstar Series round number 6. The green flag is next. Heading into the Geico restart zone with Justin Hutchinson and Nelson Reeves on the front row. The green flag is out. We're underway at Phoenix Raceway, and let's watch who makes the dive down to the inside. Looks like Nick Ortiz is the first one to make it 3 wide heading into turn 1. He's going to send it in deep to try to get around Patrick Smith as Joshua Michaels makes a push for second as well. Not quite as chaotic as we saw in the Nitro National Series race, but we still got a lot of 3 wide action deep on the field.
Yeah, it looks like there's a pretty good battle for, well, it is 5th now. I really thought that run was going to work out for Nick Ortiz. Fresh tires on the very bottom make it a little bit more equal to the outside lane, but it so far hasn't worked out for Nick Ortiz. The first 3 are single file, but this is where the battle is right here for 5th place.
I see 4 wide back there. Andres Molina, Kevin Carter, Christian Vargas, and Miles Mashburn dicing it out for, it looks like, 9th position on the racetrack. These 4, and I think I saw one car bounce off the outside wall, but they keep it going with no further issues, as Molina clears the 3 and 4 wide action ahead of him, and he will cement himself in 9th position as we enter lap 3 of 94.
Yeah, that was a bunch of Toyotas right there. That would have been an expensive accident if they had kept it up for very much longer for Toyota as a manufacturer. But right now we got that 10 car out front, and he was looking really
looking strong is Justin Hutchinson. And as we start lap number 4, the field is starting to get single file behind him. Joshua Michaels runs 2nd ahead of Patrick Smith, and Nelson Reeves in the 4th position. 2 rookies in the top 5. It'll be interesting to see which one of them will have the better day of the 2 as our first side-by-side battles between Jeffrey Finguy and Nick Ortiz for the 5th position as we complete lap number 4 under green.
Yeah, and right now I'm watching this 10 car, and he's starting to drive away a little bit. As you can see, the gap just growing on the leaderboard. Everybody is starting to get single file, and this is where you just want to, as a driver, you want to settle in and you want to start putting down lap times right here. It's no time to get super aggressive. It's only 5 laps into a 94-lap race here at Phoenix. There's going to be plenty of time to make moves later after pit stops. So this is just the time to settle down and make sure that you can get there to the end, because you can't win the race if you don't make it to the end of the race.
You can certainly lose it at this point in this stage, but you certainly can't win it from here. As Jeffrey Finke makes a move on Nelson Reeves to take the 4th spot away, and he's not done yet. He's looking on Patrick Smith for 3rd as well, but Joshua Michaels seems to hold a steady grasp on 2nd place. But like you said, that 10 car is just getting further and further away, as the gap is now a full second between the 10 and the 26 as they barrel off into turn 1 to start lap number 7.
This is a little bit different than yesterday's race, where we had a couple of guys drive away. Right now it's just Justin Hutchinson in that 10 car, and he's driving away from these guys all by himself. I don't know if that's because this 26 car is playing defense a little bit right now and losing some time, but whatever it is, these two are going to have to figure it out for the rest of the field, so that the 10 car doesn't get too far ahead.
And the gap has grown now to 1.3 seconds as Smith tries a different line. He tries it up high to try and see if he can't get momentum like his teammate in the Nitro National Series, Aaron Hall, managed to pull off in the Nitro National Series race. He worked it to perfection, but he might lose 3rd position here to Jeffrey Finke, who's starting to make some moves through the field. He's already gained some spots from Polanski and Ortiz, and now he's working on Patrick Smith as well.
Yeah, and going through turns 1 and 2 right here, that's where you really want to use that outside lane. You get a really good run down the backstretch. We're going to see it here in this battle with the 92. Looks like, yes, so you get the big run on the outside lane there, and then you're able to send it off into this corner. But in turns 3 and 4, you don't really want to be on the outside, because you can't get the same run off the corner. It's a lot bumpier in the outside lane, and the guy on the inside is able to cut the track off right down the stretch and the dog leg right there. So it's really a give and take situation here, whether you want to be on the inside or the outside, because on either end of the track it's totally different what you want.
But Polanski has managed to clear Finke for now, so that's the battle for 4th decided, as the lead is now grown to about 1.5 seconds between Justin Hutchinson and Joshua Michaels, who's battling for 2nd with Patrick Smith. You can see Smith diving to the inside. He's shown he belongs in this series. He spent a few races in the Nitro National Series building his name up, and then got the call to move up to the Superstar Series, and he's been impressing ever since. Now is clear for 2nd ahead of Joshua Michaels.
Yeah, that was a really good move around the bottom. A very clean move, and now he's on the way, and as you can see already, he's pulled away from the 26 car. So we'll see if maybe that's what it was. The 26 was just holding everybody up. So we'll see if this is going to close the lead in at all.
Smith is now clear of any traffic between him and Hutchinson. He's going to try and make his way towards that 10 car to take the lead. Aaron Hall won this race in his 3rd career start. Could Patrick Smith do the same in the Superstar Series in his 3rd career start? Could he pull off what his teammate did a day ago? But right now the gap is grown to about 1.7 seconds, so Hutchinson's still faster at the moment, but don't let that discourage Smith from giving it his all to try and take the lead here.
Yeah, Smith is just trying to find his rhythm right now. Now that he's got clean air, he's got nobody right behind him. He's just got to figure out his rhythm. This battle between Jared Polanski and that 92 car really is starting to heat up, because they're going back and forth with one another on either lane on this racetrack.
So, and looking at the battle, it appears that neither one has a particular advantage right now as we move back up to the lead of this race. Justin Hutchinson stretches his lead to almost 2 seconds now as we complete lap 14 to take 80 laps to go in this race. And keep in mind, there is still 80 laps to go in this race, so anything is still within the realm of possibility in this race as we take a look on the ticker through the rest of our field to see where your favorite driver is running. Justin Hutchinson leads this race by 2 seconds over Patrick Smith, who's got about a second in hand over the battle for 3rd between Jared Polanski and Joshua Michaels.
Yeah, this lead is starting to it's starting to look really, really good for that 10 car, I'd say. He's absolutely pulling away every single lap. He's going faster and faster. Now, my only thing is that there's still 2 pit stops left in this race. You know, you got to go through 2 cycles. So is this car just really good in the beginning of the runs? I don't know. We've yet to see. And then, of course, there's going to be adjustments for these drivers to make the cars handle better, make them go a little bit faster. So we'll see what happens, and of course the pit crew has to execute as well. So there's still a lot that can happen in this race. It's very early, lots of racing left, lots of pitting left, and it's not over by any means.
Joshua Michael's starting to fade a little bit. He was running second for a while, but now he's fallen back to the 5th position, and now he's under attack from Nelson Reeves to take that position. But now he switches underneath and makes a dive at Jeffrey Finguy to try and take 5th position back. 4th position back, sorry about that. But Finguy will be able to hold the position for the time being, as we've got Ortiz and Hunter back there waiting in the wings. If these two make a mistake trying to get past the 92, they'll be waiting and ready to strike, as it looks like Kevin Carter just lost the 9th position to his teammate.
Yeah, it looks like people are starting to maybe get a little bit loose out of that turn 2 right there. You know, it's a really flat section of this racetrack coming out of the corner. You get a little bit loose there because there's not a lot of banking to catch your car if you start to slide. Whereas like through there and the dog leg and through 1 and 2, there's a lot more banking than there is in 3 or 4, even though the whole track is relatively flat, almost like Gateway is. But there's the corners are definitely very different here, and it's just adding to the challenge. I think I spoke on it yesterday that this track is so challenging, so that's why these drivers don't really it's really difficult for them to race side by side, and it's impressive when they do, because it's just a difficult racetrack to get around and get a grasp of.
Look at this battle for second, starting to heat up. Jared Polanski has caught Patrick Smith in the 07, trying to see if he can't make his way into 2nd position, see what he can do with Justin Hutchinson in this new electric blue number 18 for this weekend. Trying to see what he can do with Patrick Smith, who they are both on Toyota teams, but they are not teammates, so don't expect any courtesy to be given between these two when it comes to exchanging this position, if and when that does happen. But right now, they've got plenty of a good gap back to Jeffrey Finguy and plenty of a good gap ahead to Justin Hutchinson, so they're free to battle it out for position without worry about losing anything other than the 2nd position.
And, of course, we've watched Jared Polanski have a really, really good season so far. He's fast at every single track, it seems like, and he just doesn't have a bad day. And here he goes on the inside, trying to make the move, coming down the backstretch here. That was a really incredible move. He entered high, he cut low, got to the inside, and now he's got the preferred lane through 3 and 4.
He's working underneath Patrick Smith. It looks like Smith will hold the position at the line, but remember, Polanski can cut the dog leg if he wants to, which you can see he just did, and now he can send it off into turn 1 much deeper than Patrick Smith can on the high side. But keep in mind, those Carter Racing System cars may have a bit of an advantage off the high side. We saw it in the Nitro National Series race yesterday, and we're seeing a little bit of it here today, because Patrick Smith's able to defend pretty well from that outside lane.
Yeah, the outside lane is looking really good through 1 and 2. As far as a defensive lane right now, I don't know if he's going to be able to defend Jared Polanski, though, because that 18 car is quick right now. This is the corner that he started the pass. It looks like he's clear. He's got to slide up. He does.
Put Polanski in the number 2 position ahead of Patrick Smith. Now let's see if Polanski can make any inroads on Justin Hutchinson, who has led all 24 laps so far here today. Now 25. It'll be interesting to see what Polanski can do now that the gap is 2 1/4 seconds, and Patrick Smith now relegated to the 3rd position. What can he do to try and get the 18 back? Because he's not concerned with Polanski's race. He wants to make a challenge of it himself, but it looks like he just can't make the runs off the inside lane as he can with the outside, and he falls back in line.
You know, he tried that same move that Jared Polanski did on him, and it just did not work. That 07 car does not have the drive off right now that the 18 does. And here's our leader again, who has just, you said he's led all 24 laps. I'd say he has dominated all 24 laps. He set sail on lap 1, and there's no turning back for this 10 car right now.
Both of his career wins a year ago came at the 1.5-mile racetracks. He got one. Actually, he got one at Auto Club, a 2-mile oval, and the other one came at Las Vegas, 1.5 miles. He's not accustomed to running up front on these shorter configurations, but he's doing it right now, and he's doing a pretty good job. He's led all 26 laps so far in a dominating fashion, as you said, And his closest challenger, Jared Polansky, is just coming off the corner now, and he's already entering into turn 3. So he's got quite a big lead to play around with. I'm curious to see what he can do with it.
Yeah, you know, I was trying to think of, while you were talking, I was trying to think of comparisons between the tracks that he's won at. It's Auto Club, which is a big, high-speed 2-mile oval, and then we've got Las Vegas, that is a 1.5 mile high banked, also high speed. The two tracks have nothing in common with Phoenix, not a lot, other than that they're all three of them are paved, but they are all on the West Coast, so maybe it's just a West Coast thing.
It could be, as part of our West Coast swing finishing up here at Phoenix. We head to Las Vegas next, where Hutchinson has won before, so he's got a lot of confidence going into that race. But right now, he's got to be focusing on this race right here, as it looks like the 92 of Finguy has dropped a couple spots. He's lost out to Joshua Michaels and to Nick Ortiz. Finguy actually dropping quite a considerable amount of pace on the straightaway. I wonder if there's an issue with that 92 that needs addressing. But he's certainly not had the pace that he had earlier in the race, because he's now lost 2 positions in the span of 2.5 laps. And look at it, Hunter's just passed him as if he's standing still.
Yeah, you know, he was racing with Jared Polansky pretty well, and right now, I'm quite sure there's an issue with that race car. Maybe they're down a cylinder, something along the lines of that. Just, it does not look like it did at all earlier. Surely there's a problem.
And you can see 5 cars lined up on the inside trying to take more spots away from him. There's Kevin Carter in the 70, Nelson Reeves in the 17, Christian Vargas in the 51, Andres Molina. They're all training their way past Jeffrey Finguy, who's now fallen from his position in 4th 5 laps ago to now he's completely out of the top 10.
I don't know why he hasn't made it to the pit lane yet. That's surprising to me. I guess maybe the crew is just trying to figure out exactly what they need to do to this car once they get to the pit lane, but there's definitely a problem. That car is far faster than it looks right now.
It's not like he can get to pit road anytime soon, because everyone's passing him on the inside. Yeah. Doesn't leave him much time. It looks like there's a gap maybe between McDonald and Fitzwater to try and
He's not even going to try.
He's not even going to try coming in. So he might just be riding it out, trying to see if the problem will fix itself or if it'll go away on its own. But right now, he's lost at least 10 positions, and he's going to lose another one here to Zachary Fitzwater, one to Michael McCuskey, and gosh, he's just really struggling out there. Remember, this 92 car started on pole for this race a year ago. Remember, this race was the regular season finale last year, and a botched pit stop is what took him out of contention then. And it could be a mechanical issue this week that takes the 92 out of contention for a possible top 5 finish.
Yeah, you know, that's just a really unfortunate situation for Finguy, because, you know, they were running up front. They were running with Jared Polansky, who, might I add, is driving down the leader right now. That gap has closed quite a bit.
It's down to 1.7 seconds now, so it is closing in, but Justin Hutchinson still has plenty to play around with as we complete 34 laps, closing in on 60 laps to go in this race. And as Jeffrey Finguy falls out of the top 10, we've got some newcomers into the top 10. We've got Nelson Reeves, who started 2nd. He's running 9th, but Christian Vargas, Stephen Hunter's teammate, he's had a pretty good season so far. He won the pole for the season opening 500, and now he's inside the top 10.
Yeah, you're right. You know, there's a lot of comers and goers in this track, and that's caused because there are certain cars that are better on a shorter run, and there are certain cars that start to come in later in the run. And I'd say we're seeing it right here with these 2 leaders, because Jared Polansky's car right now is better than the 10 car. Of course, it's not the best that's ever been, because the tires are starting to wear, but Jared Polansky's car is just faster at this point in the run than the 10 car is. So it's really interesting to see. You know, we've got 2 more short runs in this race at least because of the pit stops. So you come in, you take your tires, and then you've got a short run, but that also comes at the cost of having another long run attached to it. There's always a first half and a second half of these runs between pit stops, especially if there are no cautions, which is very possible. So it's going to be interesting to see if that 10 car is able to drive away from the 18 again after that pit stop.
An update on Jeffrey Fingine in 92. He still has not come down pit road to assess the issue with his car, and he has now fallen outside of the top 25 with that ailing race car. Remember, only about 10 laps ago he was running in the 4th position, and now he's not even in the top 25, so something is clearly wrong. They may be waiting until their first pit stop to address the issue with that number 92, and it looks like pit stops should be coming in about 3 to 5 laps from now. The pit window is about 40 to 44 laps, so expect these leaders and most of the field to come in pretty soon.
That could be true, you know, with they're just trying to wait it out, but I feel like they've lost so much time that it's not even worth it at this point, you know, to make it in the window. I think you're in the window if you pit right now. I don't know what's going on with that race car. Maybe it's maybe they've decided that there's no way that it could possibly be something they fix, so they just need to drive their little hearts out right now to get that thing to stay on the track. But I don't know. It could be interesting. That car could become a lapper at some point in this race and impact the leaders. I hope that doesn't happen, but it always could. And speaking of the leaders, it's closing in. I hear the Jaws music playing because here comes Jared Polansky.
Down to 1 second, the gap between the 10 and the 18, with Patrick Smith another second and a half adrift, and the rest of the field 6 seconds behind Justin Hutchinson. So it looks like it'd be a battle between these two, unless Patrick Smith can hurry up and join them. Could be a 3-car battle. We saw this in the NNS race yesterday, where cars closed in from at an alarming rate from far behind. But now it just looks like Jared Polansky's closing in similarly to Justin Hutchinson. Now the gap's down to 0.8 of a second.
And I remember from the NNS race that they closed in because of the fact that the two leaders had started racing each other. There's nobody around that 10 car. He's all by himself. He's not racing anybody. He's not overdriving his car. He's not driving defensively. He's just out there having a good time right now, but maybe not. Oh, here they come into the pits for their first pit stop of the day.
Lap 42, right in the middle of their window, and it looks like the whole field's coming in behind them. Andres Molina looks like he'll be the first one to stay at a lap. He'll try and take a point for leading a lap, get a bonus point to help him in his playoff hopes, and it looks like he'll be able to do it because he's very well clear of Ben McDonald in the 12. So put Andres Molina in the lead of this race for the time being. Zachary Fitzwater stayed out, Michael McCuskey stayed out, Roberto Crown Jr., Blair in the 19, J.D. Martin, and a few others have stayed out, but now it looks like they're going to be coming in this time.
Yeah, you know, and we've seen this strategy a couple of times in this series where everybody comes into pit at the same time, and then there's a second group that comes into a much less congested pit road. And sometimes that really works out for that second group because they're able to get in and get out of their pit stalls a lot cleaner than everybody else, which improves the time that you take in the pits. So we'll see if that's what happens here. I'm not sure how it'll happen, but it's going to be interesting to find out for sure. And I'd also like to... Sorry, go ahead.
The 53.95 racing cars had stayed out another lap, so give Cody Goforth his first lap led of 2021, but he will, of course, come in and pit with his teammate and team owner, Richard Herman, so that gives the lead back. It'll cycle the lead back to Justin Hutchinson, who now has about, I'd like to say, a 0.7 of a second lead over Justin Hutchinson, over Jared Polansky after pit stops. So once Goforth and Herman cycle back out of the top 10 again, it will be Hutchinson with a 0.7 lead over Jared Polansky after pit stops to cycle through. Took 3 laps to do it, but we now have our first set of stops in the books.
Yeah, you know, and when I interrupted you a minute ago, I wanted to say, curious about where these two cycled out of the pits, and they cycled out at about the same gap that they had. Now we're going to have to watch that 10 car to see if he's able to drive away like he did in the first section of this race after the very start. So we'll see. So far it hasn't happened, but I think that these two cars are still getting up to temp with the new tires, and we'll see how it goes.
And it looks like the 53.95 racing cars have cycled out to 11th and 18th, so they will rejoin the race in those positions as Justin Hutchinson takes over the lead of this race, and as you saw, that 92 car did go a lap down as a result of an extra length pit stop to address the issue under the hood of that Motorcraft Ford, and he will fall out of contention of this race. However, look at the lead now. It's gone down to 0.3 of a second. Polanski is closing in. I'm curious to see if this lead will change hands in the near future.
Yeah, so this is very fascinating because I was sure that the 18 car was just a lot faster on the long run, and that's what allowed him to catch up, and that the 10 car was going to drive away. But right now, that 18 car is looking very, very fast, and he is hounding the 10 car for the first time today. And he's just going to go around him the hard way on the outside lane. Look at this.
He's going to send it in pretty hard, but I think Hutchinson will have the advantage as they take the halfway lap. We are halfway this time by. So it'll be interesting to see which driver will have the advantage in the short run here. Hutchinson has the track position, and that's what's really important here. Yep. Hutchinson can maneuver his car wherever he needs to, but Polanski needs to figure out where he's better than Hutchinson as he backs off a little bit to assess the 10 car's weaknesses. He dives it into turn 1 again, and as they exit it out of turn 2, he starts to close the gap back in once more, as now Smith cycles out of the race into 3rd, with Stephen Hunter actually had a good pit stop. He's up to 4th, with Nick Ortiz running up to top 5.3 seconds off the lead.
You know, the reason that being the leader is such a huge advantage right now is because of that clean air. He doesn't have to worry about any air flows coming off of the car in front of him because there is no car in front of him. So the 18 car right now is having to deal with all of that, and I think that as soon as he got to the 10 car, his car started to feel a little bit different than it had in the past, and he had to assess how it was feeling. He was trying to figure out how to drive it. Of course, he's there now, but he's going to have to overcome the dirty air that's coming off of the back of that 10 car before he's able to pass it.
And add one more point to Justin Hutchinson's tally. He has now secured the point for most laps led, so kudos to that 10 car for keeping it out front as long as he has, because now he can leave this race with a guaranteed extra point that he will take with him for the rest of the regular season. Now, if he can make the playoffs, it'll be reset, but that bonus point will certainly help him get there, as right now, Jared Polanski's all over his back bumper trying to find a way around.
I'll bet you that one bonus point is only going to be bittersweet if he doesn't end up the winner of this race. He's dominated it so far, and he's been doing a really good job holding off the 18 car, who we saw was clearly faster than him so far, but you're only as fast as your position. So this right now, it's really, really fascinating to see that 10 car holding off and defending Jared Polanski, who we know is one of the most aggressive drivers out there.
And he's trying to find a way around the outside right now, but it looks like he'll have to tuck in behind this 10 car. Finish Line Motorsports has yet to go to victory lane this season, aside from the season opening non-points shootout, which was won by Ricky Freeman Jr. in the 0-1. But other than that, Finish Line Motorsports has been shut out of victory lane so far this season, and 2 of their rival Ford teams have found their way to victory lane by means of Lane Sanders and Jeffrey Finguy. So they want to prove that they're the top running Ford team, and right now they're showing it because they've got 2 cars in the top 5 right now, Ortiz in 5th.
So if you remember the pass that Jared Polanski made to take 2nd place, he basically entered higher in turns 1 and 2 and then cut low and got a nose in on the quarter panel of the guy in front of him, and then he was able to have the preferred lane through turns 3 and 4. That's what he's trying to do right now to get the lead, but the 10 car knows exactly what he's trying to do. So that's why it's really interesting, because he knows that he's got to block that very inside lane, kind of half on the track, half on the apron is where he's blocking to make it so that it's all good, and he isn't able to get past. Here we're going to see it again. And Jared Polanski just a little bit faster through the middle of the corner. He didn't quite get as close as he did last time this time, but right now he is really, really hounding the 10 car. He is filling up those mirrors.
With 36 cars on the lead lap, lap traffic will play a factor in this race coming up shortly, because I'm sure you've seen the lap car of Brandon Beal up ahead, who's running about, think, a couple, maybe 3 to 4 seconds ahead of these two. You can see him in the red and white car who just exited the screen. So, yeah, there he is going in the 3 and 4. So, when they catch him, that will be an interesting factor in who gets the lead of this race as well. Because if Beal gets in the way of Hutchinson or Polanski, that could change the outcome of this race as well.
Yeah, you're totally right, and we've seen in both series this season that the lap traffic has really played a factor in these races. And when it's so tight between these two drivers right now, it will play a factor, and we're gonna find out who it benefits and who it hurts very shortly here.
So, with Hutchinson having dominated this race, he's led all but 2 laps so far in the day, and those came as a result of green flag pit stops, handing the lead to Andres Molina and Cody Goforth. But right now, Hutchinson's under direct fire from Jared Polanski, and right now, Polanski's getting to the inside, but he's just too far back, I think, to make the move stick right now, but he's going to try to send it in anyway, as Hutchinson continues to hold him off to complete lap 59 of 94. He's continuing to hold the lead, but the question is, what will Polanski do if worst comes to worst, he has to put the bumper to the back of that 10 car?
Yeah, as soon as that 18 gets a nose in the middle of turns 1 and 2 underneath the 10 car, this race is going to change a lot, because they're going to be side by side down the front stretch, or down the back stretch, or whatever it is here at Phoenix. They're really going to be racing at that point, and then they're going to be slowed up. And if you can tell, that '07 car, Smith is catching up to these guys, and they're not even really racing each other side by side. As soon as they get side by side, they're going to get a lot slower than they're running right now, and the '07 car is going to be right behind them, bringing the whole pack with them.
That's absolutely true, and as they close in on Brandon Beal to put him a lap down, that could play a big factor in who wins this race, because, as you said, if Beal holds up Polanski or Hutchinson, that could allow Smith, it could allow Hunter to catch up in his bid to win 3 in a row here. So that could be an interesting factor into who wins this race, because if you look ahead of Beal, there's a 3-car pack ahead of him, and it looks like they're running side by side now as well. So even if they get past Beal, they've still got 3 more cars to navigate, and those 3 are racing hard. So I don't know if it's going to be any easier to get by them.
Yeah, it definitely won't be easier to get by them. It's going to be a lot more difficult. When you've got cars racing against each other for position, of course, they're not going to stop racing each other for you, the guy that's trying to put them a lap down. That's just not how it works. That's not how the mentality is. So you're going to have to work hard to get around those guys, and they're just going to keep racing. And good luck getting by, of course. So we'll see how it is. Right now, the 10 has built a little bit of a gap to the 18 car. He's starting to look really good, and just managing that gap. The 18, he heated up his stuff. He's just backed off a little bit right now. There's still another pit stop. There's still a lot of race left. So it's going to be a battle to the finish, of course, but I think that we're going to have to wait until the next pit stop to see how this race really is going to play out.
And the question is, will they catch Brandon Beal before that stop happens? I believe they will, because Beal is considerably slower on track than these two ahead of him, or rather behind him. So it looks like Wyatt Dueling is just ahead of Beal. It looks like Ricky Freeman Jr. and Ryan Soper, is the hometown driver out of Arizona, is right there. You can see the 3 of them battling for a position ahead of Brandon Beal. So once they get past Beal, the real question becomes, what will Hutchinson and Polanski do when they catch that lap traffic? Because it'll be a lot more difficult to pass, I feel, once they catch the side-by-side cars.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Jared Polanski is able to get close enough. He could try to use that lap car as a pick, but right now he's not close enough. He's not going to be able to make that pass with the lap car, or utilizing the lap car to get around the 10 car. But we're going to see how it goes, because they are all running about the same line through the corners. Of course, there is a lot of room here to kind of go around people, but they're not terribly faster. They're faster for sure, but they're not a lot faster. They're not blowing by a golf cart going 20 miles an hour faster, you know, so it's going to be interesting. They're going to really have to work to pass this car, and we're going to see how it goes very shortly, because already Jared Polansky is starting to gain time while the 10 car is in the wake of the 37.
So as they come off of turn 2, it'll be Hutchinson ahead of Polansky with Beal in front of them, about to go a lap down. I'm looking to see if the move will be made this time around. No, he stays in line right behind Brandon Beal, and that's going to allow Polansky to get right up behind him. This could be interesting because you can see Patrick Smith be back there. He's gaining time as well. So don't look now, but the battle for position is just getting even more intense. And now it looks like he's going to get around Brandon Beal. Maybe, as it looks like we got some smoke in 3 and 4.
Oh boy!
And some skids. Yes, there's been an incident, and it looks like it's J.D. Martin in the 66 that's been involved in this. And coming to take the caution flag on lap 70. Look at who took the lead off of turn 4 on the lap to the caution flag. It's Jared Polansky. After it hurt him at Bristol in the Nitro National Series race, it sure is going to help him now, as you see Nelson Reeves with some heavy damage on the front end of his number 17. But this race has just changed, and it's not in the way we were expecting, that's for sure.
No, it's absolutely not. I had totally forgotten that was even possible. We were so focused on these cars racing each other, and now everybody's coming into the pit lane.
This will be their final round of pit stops. Yeah. It'll take place under yellow flag conditions. We'll see who wins this battle off pit road. I can only imagine it'll be Polansky ahead of Hutchinson, but we'll find out what happened to J.D. Martin as well, because he took a pretty hard shot there from appears to be Nelson Reeves. So we'll see what happened to Martin. And it looks like Cody Govor is actually going to roll the dice and take 2 tires on this pit stop.
My gosh.
We'll see what it'll do for him, but right now we're focused on what happened to J.D. Martin in the 66. So this is where J.D. Martin blows the engine on the back straightaway.
Oh my.
And as you see, he's slowing up Roberto Crown Jr. and then Nelson Reeves with nowhere to go. He gets tagged by Michael McCuskey in the 47 with nowhere to go. And then it looks like he'll get hit again, this time by Daniel Bouchard in the 73, and that'll bring him to a full stop. And that will likely end Martin's day. He was running in 15th when this happened, so it's a tough break for him, but he'll have to regroup and recover to move on to Las Vegas in 1 week's time. So we're on board now with J.D. Martin. You can see the smoke coming out of the back end of his car. He holds up Crown, but Reeves just has nowhere to go with the smoke. He gets hit by the 17, then the 47 gets a piece. He gets up into the wall. He tries to carry on and then comes down right into the path of Daniel Bouchard. He's lucky that the leaders didn't get involved in this, because look at them. Just get by right now. And as you saw, Hutchinson had to slow on the inside line while Polansky kept his foot in it on the outside. That's what probably got him the lead, was his ability to carry more momentum around the outside to take the lead of this race, which he currently has.
Yeah, that 18 car, he's always an aggressor. He sees him wrecking, and he's just going to floor it around the outside. As long as he can get the lead coming to the line, he will be. It seems like he'll be the leader. Is he not going to be the leader?
No, he will be, because Kevin Carter is a lap down in that 70 car. He'll be on the tail end of the lead lap when this race restarts, which should be in about 1 lap's time. We'll see what happens with the pace car. Yes, the lights are out on the pace car, so we will be going green this time as Polansky moves up to get Kevin Carter on the inside line. So Polansky will be your leader. Hutchinson runs second. Stephen Hunter third, alongside, ahead of the 2 Carter Racing System entries in 4th and 5th. Patrick Smith had a bit of an incident on pit road that dropped him back a couple of places. He will restart in 5th, ahead of Nick Ortiz in 6th. Christian Vargas 7th. Cody Goforth on 2 tires, restarting in 8th position, ahead of, it looks like, Miles Mashburn in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 will be the 71 of Andres Molina. So,
and look at all of the lap cars that are lined up on the bottom lane. This is going to be really interesting to see what happens with our lead lap cars on the outside lane. I don't know if they're going to be able to get around on the outside lane this early in the run. We'll see. I don't know, but we're about to go green and find out.
So a Polanski on the outside lane, Carter on the inside lane, Hutchinson and Hunter right behind. The green flag is back out, and we are underway once again. And it looks like Finn Guy has not settled that issue of his car, because look at them. They're fanning out 3 and 4 wide around him. And look at Stephen Hunter diving to the inside of Justin Hutchinson. This could be a battle for second right here.
Yeah, and Stephen Hunter, you know, he always ends up right up there at the end of these races. That's incredible. But Jared Polanski is loving what he sees behind. He's got people stuck behind a lap car. He's got people stuck on the outside. And we've got 3 wide, 2 rows deep here back in the pack. This is absolutely amazing.
They're all scattering to get around Jeffrey Finn Guy,
gosh,
who's still got a couple cylinders down on that 92. And he's just going to hold up Vargas in the 54. GoForce now stuck on the high side after that 2-tire gamble. And now, look at this pack. It's like a super speedway. It's like we're back at Pensacola. Look at their 3 and 4 wide, several rows deep. I can't even tell which battles are for position and which aren't anymore.
This is absolutely incredible racing. I can't believe that they haven't crashed yet trying to do this. They're still going to try. They're pushing 4 wide still. Oh, no! There's contact. How did they keep it together? I have no idea.
They're still 4 wide down the backstretch, but they settle it down to 3 wide going into turns 3 and 4. You see Mashburn on the high side, Cook on the inside, Joshua Michaels split in the middle with help from Henry Thomas, Christian Vargas, Bobo Jones is there, Halleck in the 84 is there, and look at Nelson Reeves. His front end is gone, and he's still keeping up in the mid-pack. But now, as we focus on the front 3, it is Polanski, Hutchinson, and Hunter closing in on 15 laps to go. One of these 3, it looks like, will be a race winner. The question is which one and who will make the pass, if any, in these closing stages. We're closing in on 15 to go.
Well, it looks like Stephen Hunter is about to make a move on that 10 car, and he is. He's going deep into the corner. He's just going to send it down in there, use the apron as an advantage to turn that car. Is he going to get cleared? Not quite. Oh, man, but he's going to have the better lane coming here through 3 and 4 at this track, and these 2 are still right with Jared Polanski. Man, what a day it would be to see this 51 car get up there and win this race 3 in a row. My goodness, that would be something after not being a factor at all today, and now he's running in second place trying to chase down Jared Polanski.
And imagine Jared Polanski's disbelief. Remember back at Kansas, it was a pass with 3 laps to go for Stephen Hunter passing Jared Polanski, and that's how they finished 1-2 to 51 ahead of the 18. Imagine his disappointment if it happens here again here at Phoenix after Polanski's been in a position to win this race. He's looking for it. He's trying to get his second win of the season. But Stephen Hunter's looking for his 3rd, and his 3rd in a row, looking to match his total from 2020. He's already making a move on the inside, but it's not quite enough to get around. They're still going to be close together, the 18 to 51, and this 10 car still in the mix right behind them.
He's lurking in case these 2 get together and have an accident. But if I'm Jared Polanski right now, the last car that I want to see in my mirror is that 51 car of Stephen Hunter, because you know that it's going to get crazy. These 2 are the all-time wins leaders, and here comes the 51 on the inside. He's not quite next to him yet, but he is really, really close. He's closer than I expected him to stay together. You know, and I also want to mention about that 10 car. Of Hutchinson, you know, he was really, really fast on the start of this race, and I think that that's helping him keep up right now, because it's the same situation where they had a restart. They started from it was cold. The tires didn't have a lot of heat in them. Thing was cooling down a little bit under the yellow, and right now he's keeping right up with these 2 who are battling for the lead furiously right now.
Another thing to keep in mind is that Justin Hutchinson has yet to be in traffic this whole race. He's been leading pretty much the entire way. So to be behind these 2 cars is a completely different position for him to be in. Contact was made between Hunter and Polanski. It almost sent Polanski into the barrels on the entrance to pit road, but he somehow keeps it ahead of Stephen Hunter, and now Justin Hutchinson moves up high to try and see if he can't take the lead. But now Hunter gets underneath Polanski, and they're going to be side by side. This battle is not going to
goodness.
be a battle for much longer because Stephen Hunter, with 11 laps to go, is going to try and make the pass work on Jared Polansky, and it looks like he's going to be able to almost clear him off at 2. They're going to stay side by side for now, but man, that was a move by the 51.
That's really early to make a move like that. If I'm out there and I'm going to make a move like that, I want to wait until a point where the guy who I move out of the way can't move me out of the way. And right now, Jared Polansky is sitting there in a position where he can move that 51 car still. There's a lot of laps left. Well, not a lot of laps left, but there's plenty enough for him to be able to move the 51 car as long as he doesn't have to deal with the 10, and he won't. It looks like. So this is really interesting. I don't know if there's payback coming, but I would not be surprised if there is.
9 laps to go here at Phoenix. Stephen Hunter takes his first lead of the day on lap 86. Could he do the unthinkable and win 3 races in a row? No one else besides him has won even 2 in a row. Could he try and make history by extending his win streak to 3 races? No one's done that before. Could he do it? We're closing in on the end of this race, but I would not count out Polansky or Hutchinson.
No.
But they're starting to run out of time and laps because Hunter is just starting to extend that lead even further.
I cannot believe that we are watching this right now. That 51 car out in front again. I mean, he was not a factor in this race until that caution came out. He drove up through the field on the final restart, and now he's leading this race, and it's just, he's driving away too. I mean, I'm just stunned that this is happening.
He's growing his lead, too. It's now 3/4 of a second now. He has room to play around with if he wants to try a different line, wants to save his stuff in case the 18 or the 10 come back at him. He has space to do that. No look now, but here comes Nick Ortiz and Patrick Smith in 4th and 5th. They're going to make a battle of it as well for the final few spots in the top 5 as we close in now on 6 laps of racing to go from Phoenix, and the gap is stabilized at 3/4 of a second, so Hunter has space to play around with as we get to the ending stages of this thing.
You know, I think that Nick Ortiz right now is realizing that the 51 of Stephen Hunter is out front, and Stephen Hunter after the last race was only 1 point behind Nick Ortiz in the championship standings. I'm sure that that's kind of ringing in Nick Ortiz's mind right now of like, oh no, I'm going to lose the points lead after this race.
He most certainly will, because Hunter will get a minimum of 51 points for winning this race if he can hang on.
Yep.
While it looks like 4th for Ortiz will only net him 39. That's a 12-point swing right there. So Hunter will most certainly be the points leader if he can hang on to win this race, which I don't see why he couldn't. As we close in on 5 laps to go, you can see the lap car up ahead of Daniel Bouchard, so they may have to deal with him, but in the closing stages of this race, the gap's now grown to a full second. Hunter is free and clear to chase after his 3rd consecutive victory in the Superstar Series.
That move that he made to take the lead, it was aggressive. There was contact made, but it's going to go down in the books if he can pull this off as one of the most epic moves to win a race in this series. Now, of course, he hasn't won it yet, but boy, it doesn't look like he will. I mean, I just cannot believe that this has gone like this. Now, we've got a lap car here. We'll see if the 51 car, who's been dealing with traffic all day, is able to get around the lapper.
He should be able to pretty easily, because Bouchard has been well off the pace since his contact with J.D. Martin, and as you can see, Hunter will get past. Coming to 2 laps to go this time. Hunter, with a gap of now 1.2 seconds, we'll see if it grows at the line. It actually went down a little bit because Hunter had to deal with Bouchard, but now that Polansky's got to deal with the 73, Hunter can start to pull away again as we're closing in on the white flag this time by.
Yeah, so Polansky has gotten away from the 10 car a little bit. He's no longer driving defensively. I don't think it's going to matter. I don't know if there's enough time with only about 1 lap to go in this race. The 51 car leading, absolutely incredible.
On a day where Stephen Hunter was trying to extend his record to 3 consecutive wins. We didn't even consider it a possibility because of how Justin Hutchinson and Jared Polansky were dominating this race, but it just goes to show the strength of the 51 team, and Stephen Hunter, the king of the 1-Up Superstar Series, he took his crown back at Kansas, and now off of turn 4, he's taken his place on the throne. Stephen Hunter has gone 3 in a row in the 1-Up Superstar Series. He does it at Phoenix. And if there was any doubt as to who's the greatest driver in this series after the day, it's all gone now. It's Stephen Hunter at Phoenix.
Absolutely, that 51 car is bad, fast. He's the points leader now. He's going to be tough to beat, the defending champion. I don't know, folks. You better figure it out how to beat that 51 car, because he is going to be gone before long in this series.
Jared Polansky, another second-place finish for him at the hands of Stephen Hunter. This is going to hurt as Nick Ortiz takes fastest lap. He'll finish 4th behind his teammate Justin Hutchinson. Patrick Smith will lead home Makoto Racing System 5-6 ahead of Jake McMillan in 7th. Roberto Crown Jr. in 8th. Henry Brown made a nice charge for the field up to 9th, and Andres Molina rounds out the top 10. I believe his 2nd of the season on an oval. So that 71 car is making gains, but there's no one right now that is better than this 51 car, Stephen Hunter. Final thoughts from Phoenix.
The final thoughts. You know, there's a lot of thoughts right now because poor Jared Polansky. He loses another one to the 51 car. I think that there will be a lot of work being done to the 18 in the week's time before the next race. He's got to pull one of these off at some point against that 51 car. Somehow Stephen Hunter is able to just get up there every single time and compete for these wins and then actually get the wins. He's going to be tough to beat this season, but we're going to see if anybody can do it and contend for the championship with him.
So from Duke Anzac and from myself as well, we say goodbye from Phoenix Raceway. We'll see you next week at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the high-banked mile-and-a-half in the desert to complete our West Coast swing. But we say congratulations to Stephen Hunter, who further extends his record for the most wins of all time. He is the greatest. He is the best. He is the winner at Phoenix Raceway.